They whisper about you in rooms you'll never enter. Like scared little mice gnawing at shadows they'll never understand. You walk in silence, but your silence screams in frequencies they can't decode. Every step you take disrupts their reality. Every glance from you feels like a scalpel peeling back their fragile masks. You're not loud. You're not cruel. But your presence, it's a riddle they can't solve, and that kills them. They don't know what it is about you, but it unsettles them. You don't laugh at the same jokes. You don't jump when they bark. You don't bend when they push, because your brain isn't wired for obedience. It's a war machine, silent, ruthless, always calculating. And deep down, they know it. They know you see right through the act, the fake smiles, the empty bravado, the hollow talk dressed as wisdom. You're the glitch in their matrix, the variable they didn't account for. You think, not to please, but to pierce. You see systems, patterns, weak spots. You don't operate in feelings. They're just data to you. You can mimic them if you need to, but inside, you're detached, watching, studying, waiting. They hate that you don't need their approval. It burns them alive because they feed off it, and you starve them. In your eyes, they carry the weight of wars no one saw you fight. They look like silence, but inside, it's thunder. They avoid looking too long, because when they do, they see themselves. All their insecurities, all their lies, all the weakness they've dressed up as strength. You're a mirror with no mercy. And that reflection, it haunts them. It strips them. It exposes them. You were never made for their kind of normal. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to fracture the mold. Your mind was forged in shadows, honed by pain, tempered by rejection. They call you strange, intense, arrogant, but that's because you don't crawl for belonging like they do. You don't beg, you build. Alone, quiet, focused. They call it madness because they can't name it anything else. So let them whisper, let them stare, let them twitch when you walk into the room. They've never met someone like you, and they never will again. You're not just thinking differently. You're operating on a level their fear won't let them reach. That's why they can't look you in the eye. Because when they do, they see the death of their illusion and the rise of something far more dangerous. You don't think to fit in, you think to win. Your thoughts don't soothe, they strike. Razor sharp, precision forged. You don't wonder how to be accepted, you wonder how to dominate. While they scroll for dopamine, you sit in silence, pulling strings they don't even see. Your intelligence isn't a lantern in the dark, it's a flamethrower, and when it burns, it scorches illusions to ash. They told you you were too intense, too much, too deep, as if depth was a disease, as if intensity wasn't the reason empires rise and worlds collapse. But the truth? They weren't scared for you, they were scared of you. You stared too long, questioned too hard, dug too deep. You made them uncomfortable because you made them irrelevant. And their fragile egos couldn't survive your shadow. So they mocked you, laughed when you questioned everything, labeled you the problem so they didn't have to solve themselves. But even then, even while bleeding, you were calculating. You learned. You took every jab and built armor. Every insult, another brick in your fortress. Every time they tried to break you, they only fed the beast in your brain. And now, that beast doesn't want peace. It wants power. You see, normal minds look for comfort. They crave safety, familiarity, a pat on the head and a seat at the table. But you want the table. You don't sit politely, you flip the damn thing. Your thoughts aren't soft and gentle, they're surgical. You don't wait for permission, you take what they said you couldn't have. That's why they fear your mind, because it doesn't just ask why, it asks who's in charge and then replaces them. And when you speak, you don't talk to connect, you talk to penetrate. You don't explain, you unravel. People leave conversations with you shaken, questioning everything they thought was real. That's not by accident. That's by design. You don't offer comfort, you offer clarity. And clarity is terrifying to those who've built their lives on lies. So they say you're different, dangerous, maybe even unhinged. Good. Let them. Because when the world finally falls apart, and it will, they'll run to the clever ones, the thinkers, the intense, the deep. And when they do, you'll already be on your throne, watching, smiling, thinking, still not to fit in, but to win. You notice everything they hope you don't, and that scares them. The flicker in their eyes, the twitch in their lip, the pause before a lie. You see it all. Not because you want to, because you had to. Betrayal sharpened your senses like blades. Pain made your mind a battlefield. And now, you walk into rooms like a predator wearing silence. They smile at you, but their eyes, they can't lie. You've seen too many fake smiles crack under pressure. You've heard, "I'm fine," from mouths dripping with venom. You've watched people call you friend while holding the knife behind their back. And after all that, you've stopped listening to words. You started decoding behavior, because the truth never hides in their voice. It hides in the glitches. Your brain became a scanner, a lie detector, an emotional X-ray machine. You feel everything, too much, all the time, but you turn that curse into your edge. You read people like open books while they still think they're sealed. Every tone shift, every subtle dig, every micro-expression they pray you'll miss. You log it, store it, use it. You don't play checkers, you play them. And when they realize, that's when they panic. That's when the eye contact breaks. That's when the nerves set in. Because deep down, they know you see them. Not the mask, not the performance, the raw, trembling thing beneath it. And there's nothing more terrifying to a liar than being understood by someone who can't be fooled. You didn't ask for this power. The world forced it into you, forced you to study people like threats, like bombs with blinking lights. You had to learn which smiles meant safety and which ones meant run. But now, you walk with the eyes of a sniper, the mind of a tactician, the calm of someone who's already outplayed the room before stepping inside it. So let them smile, let them act, let them throw shade in silk, because while they're busy pretending, you're busy preparing. And when the moment comes, you won't hesitate. You won't flinch, because you already saw it coming 10 steps ago. You've been at war with yourself. and still showed up smiling. The world saw calm, collected, maybe even cold, but inside, it was blood and fire, screams no one else could hear, thoughts crashing like thunder in a locked room. You didn't just overthink, you outthought yourself into exhaustion, strategized your own destruction, then rebuilt, alone. Every time. They think intelligence is quiet books and clean logic. Nah. Real intelligence, it's chaos. It's sleepless nights rewiring entire belief systems. It's battling demons that wear your voice. It's asking why until the truth cuts you open. They never saw the nights you almost lost yourself to your own brilliance. They couldn't because they'd never survive a single hour inside your mind. You wrestled thoughts that wanted to kill you and made them kneel. You made pain your lab partner, turned spirals into blueprints, patterns into weapons. You weren't just surviving the noise, you were organizing it, building order from disorder, strategy from suffering. And while they mistook your silence for surrender, you were sharpening your edge, quietly. You are the storm, not the calm, not the breeze. You are the eye, the deadly center that holds while everything else shatters. And when they mock you for being too in your head, they don't realize that is your throne, that chaos is your crown. Most people drown in doubt. You swim in it, hunt in it, command it like a general commands troops. You've mastered the art of inner warfare, turned your worst nights into war stories only you remember. No applause, no medals, just grit, just blood under your fingernails from clawing your way out of the mental trenches. But now, you don't flinch when storms hit, because you are the storm, and you've already won the hardest war, the one no one even saw. So when they say you're complicated, say nothing. When they say you think too much, smirk. Because if they had your mind for one day, they'd beg for peace. You made peace your prisoner, and now every thought you have is a bullet fired with intention. You were never made to fit in their tiny boxes. You were born to burn them. From the start, you knew something was off. You didn't laugh when they laughed, didn't chase what they chased. Their games, pointless. Their goals, hollow. And when you spoke your truth, they flinched, laughed, rejected you like an immune system fighting something too real. That wasn't weakness. That was confirmation. They called you strange, distant, cold. But deep down, they envied the freedom you walked with. You didn't need their approval. You didn't beg to belong. You saw through their rituals, their empty masks, and that scared them. They want everyone to play nice, fall in line, nod and smile while the world burns. But you're the glitch in their system, the one they can't categorize, can't tame, can't kill. Isolation wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Those silent nights where you sat alone while the world moved without you, that was training. You learned how to survive on your own frequency. You learned how to build without applause, love without being loved back, think without the noise. And in that stillness, you became dangerous, not because you hated the world, but because you stopped needing it. Being the outsider, that's your weapon. While they were busy fitting in, you were figuring it out. While they were memorizing answers, you were questioning everything. That's the difference. You didn't want the seat at the table. You wanted to know who built the table, and why. That's why they'll never understand you, because your mind isn't wired for comfort, it's wired for disruption. So fall in love with being the anomaly, the outlier, the disturbance. You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be felt. And when you walk into a room, the energy shifts. Not because you're loud, but because your presence is a rebellion. Your very existence is a crack in the illusion they've built, and no matter how much they try to ignore it, they feel you. Normal never called your name, and thank the darkness it didn't, because you weren't born to blend in. You were born to bend reality. And now, the same silence that once haunted you has become your roar. You don't raise your voice, because your energy says everything. You walk into the room and without saying a damn word, the air shifts. They feel you before they see you. They sense the weight you carry. Not noise, not flash, just raw, silent voltage humming beneath your skin. That's not luck, that's discipline. That's control sharpened to a blade. You don't need to speak loudly. Your existence is already screaming. They talk. Oh, they talk. Loud, fast, desperate. Like if they stop moving their mouths, the truth might catch up to them. But you mastered the pause, the slow turn, the look that doesn't blink. You made silence your soldier, stillness your sniper. You don't react because you already read the room 5 moves ahead. While they're performing, you're planning. While they're flexing, and when the time comes, you strike like thunder with no warning. Silence is not weakness, it's warfare. It's the space where real power lives. Lions don't roar before they hunt. They watch, they wait, then they kill. That's you. You don't entertain chaos. You observe it. Let them expose themselves with every word, every boast, every nervous joke. You're the mystery they whisper about, the one they can't decode. And that drives them insane. Because when you say nothing, they fill in the blanks. And their fear fills them with stories. Stories you didn't write, but still control. They project, they assume, they panic, and you stay quiet. Because that's the move, that's how kings rule. That's how assassins hunt. That's how legends are made. Not with noise, but with gravity. So weaponize your restraint. Let silence become your armor. Let stillness become your sword. Every time you choose not to speak, not to lash out, not to prove anything, you win, you rise, you dominate. Because while the world screams for attention, you sit on your throne of thunder, silent and unstoppable. You weren't defiant. You were just right too early. You saw the cracks before they split. You asked the questions they were too scared to face. And for that, they laughed, mocked you like a fool at the court of cowards, called you difficult, paranoid, a problem. But deep down, they knew. They knew you were peeling back the mask on something real. And real terrifies the blind. You never bowed to tradition just because it was dressed in authority. You didn't follow the herd just because the herd was loud. While they clung to fake confidence like a lifeline, you dismantled the lies brick by brick. Question after question. Truth after truth. Not to be difficult, but to be free. And freedom is rebellion in a world built on obedience. They called you intense because you refused to sleepwalk through life, called you too much because your curiosity shattered their comfort. But now, those same people are quoting you, copying your mindset, repeating the exact questions they once ridiculed. Funny how the heretic becomes the handbook once the fire proves the truth. Every time you were laughed at, you were leveling up. Every eye roll you earned, a medal. Every friendship you lost, a filter. Because those who need the illusion can't handle the mirror you hold. Your mind sharp enough to cut through dogma, your soul unwilling to kneel just to be liked. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to burn through the bullshit. So keep questioning, relentlessly. Let your mind stay dangerous, stay alive. Burn tradition to ash if it doesn't make sense. Question your thoughts, your leaders, your habits, your comfort. That's not rebellion, that's evolution. And one day, when the noise dies down and the masks fall off, they'll look to you, not for answers, but for permission to finally ask the right question. They built mental prisons. You broke out and never looked back. While they decorated their chains with borrowed beliefs, you questioned the walls. While they memorized what to think, you dared to ask why. That wasn't rebellion, it was resurrection. You didn't just learn, you outgrew their entire blueprint. And that kind of evolution, it's violent, it's lonely, but it's freedom. They fed you rules wrapped in fear, told you who to be, what to believe, how to live. And when you stopped playing their game, they called you lost, dangerous, unstable. But the truth? You weren't lost. You were outgrowing. You weren't unstable. You were awakening. Their system wasn't built to hold minds like yours, minds that burn through programming like gasoline through paper. You didn't just walk away from their belief system. You buried it. You watched it rot. Every lie they sold you about love, success, purpose, worth, you tore it apart with your bare hands. That wasn't a phase. That was a rebirth. Painful, bloody, necessary. You had to kill who you were told to be, just to remember who you really are. And now, they don't understand you because they're still trapped inside the very cage you broke. They still speak the language of limitation, while you're fluent in truth. They still seek approval, while you've learned to breathe without it. Let them think you've gone rogue. Let them whisper, because what they call exile is actually ascension. You're not angry. You're free, and freedom is loud. Even when you don't say a word, you didn't betray them. You survived them. And that belief system they worship like scripture, you outgrew it like dead skin. Because intelligence doesn't ask for permission. It rips the veil. It demands rebirth. It kills comfort, and you chose the fire. You stopped chasing applause the moment you realized you were the damn show. They clapped for mediocrity, worshipped replicas, crowned cowards, and still you waited for none of it. You walked off their stage, burned the script, and built your own arena. No spotlights, no noise, just power in pure form. Not asking, not needing, just being. Validation, that's the drug of the insecure, the applause addicts, the fragile egos who can't breathe unless someone's watching. But you inhale solitude, exhale certainty. You don't need them to approve, because your reflection already crowned you. Every time you owned your path without explanation, without clout, without a cheer squad, you declared war on the system that feeds on desperation. You're not trying to impress. You are the impression. You're not fitting into standards. You are the standard. That presence of yours, it's not loud. It's lethal. You don't need to scream to be felt. Your silence bends the air. Your calm rewrites the hierarchy. You don't wear your worth like decoration. You bleed it quietly. Let them chase trophies. You become the prize. Let them beg for recognition. You command respect without ever asking. Because that's what real leaders do. They lead in silence and let the results do the screaming. No one claps when a wolf walks through the woods, but every animal feels it. So sit in that power, own it. No explanations, no apologies, no damn hashtags, just the truth in your bones and the fire in your chest. You don't need them to believe in you. You already did. And that what makes you untouchable.